Florida hides eerie film locations where the line between cinema and the supernatural blurs. Abandoned theaters, old hotels, and mysterious mansions not only hosted famous movies, but also chilling ghostly encounters. Actors and crews often reported strange noises, flickering lights, and ghostly figures, making Florida's film spots truly haunted. Now we will visit the most haunted film locations in Florida. Number 1. Cassadaga Spiritualist Camp. Cassadaga Spiritualist Camp, tucked away in the quiet town of Cassadaga, Florida, is unlike any other film location in the state. Known as the psychic capital of America, this eerie settlement was founded in 1894 by George Colby, a medium who claimed spirits led him here. Its narrow streets, Victorian houses, and candlelit seance rooms have lured countless filmmakers who wanted real ghosts to breathe life into their horror stories. The most famous film linked to this place is Cassadaga 2011, a chilling movie about a grieving woman who attempts to contact her sister's spirit, only to uncover something far darker. Some scenes were shot in and around the camp, and even the crew admitted the location felt more cursed than cinematic. During filming, actors complained of waking in the middle of the night to whispers circling their hotel rooms. One actress later admitted she refused to stay in Cassadaga again after feeling an icy hand grip her ankle while she was sleeping. The director himself reported that cameras shut off repeatedly in the middle of key seance scenes, even though the batteries had been fully charged moments earlier. Crew members said they heard voices calling their names when no one else was nearby. One cameraman bolted from the set after capturing a shadowy figure on film, only to realize it hadn't appeared in the final footage. But these incidents weren't limited to the film crew. Local mediums warned the cast that the spirits in Cassadaga don't like to be mocked. Some actors who tried to joke about seances suddenly became sick with splitting headaches and nausea, forcing production delays. One makeup artist swore she saw a pale, faceless woman staring back at her in the mirror while preparing an actress for a scene. The woman vanished as soon as she turned around. Visitors outside of the movie world have experienced just as much terror. Guests often describe being touched, pushed, or even whispered to by unseen forces. Candles blow out without wind, and doors slam on their own. The camp's seance rooms are infamous for sudden drops in temperature, as if spirits gather silently in the corners. Cassadaga is not just a backdrop, it is a living, breathing haunting. For those who filmed Cassadaga here, the spirits made sure the terror was more than fiction. This quiet town still stands as Florida's most haunted film location, where the line between movie magic and the supernatural is frighteningly thin. Number 2. 7 Mile Bridge. The 7 Mile Bridge in the Florida Keys is one of the most breathtaking stretches of road in America. But beneath its beauty lies a chilling reputation that makes it one of the most haunted film locations in Florida. Its long, isolated span across the dark waters of the Gulf of Mexico has been the backdrop for famous films like True Lies 1994, Too Fast, Too Furious 2003, and License to Kill 1989. While these movies showcased high-speed chases, explosions, and thrilling stunts, the crews often reported that something unseen was lurking in the shadows of this endless bridge. During the filming of True Lies, several crew members swore they saw ghostly figures standing at the edge of the old bridge, only for them to vanish into thin air. One stunt driver confessed that he nearly lost control when he saw what looked like a woman in white crossing the road at night, even though the set was closed and no one was supposed to be there. He later refused to drive across that stretch again without someone riding beside him. Actors working on Too Fast, Too Furious also spoke of strange happenings. Tyrese Gibson admitted in an interview that he felt like the bridge had an energy that followed them. Cars wouldn't start, cameras malfunctioned, and lights flickered at the exact same spot every single night. One cameraman even claimed he was pushed while setting up his rig, though no one was behind him. Local legends say the bridge is haunted by sailors who drowned in storms, construction workers who died building the original bridge, and travelers who never made it across. During late-night shoots, several extras reported hearing screams carried over the water, though the sea was calm and empty. A director's assistant swore she saw shadowy hands reaching from the railings as if trying to grab hold of passing cars. The most terrifying account came from a night shoot when part of the crew saw headlights approaching from the far end of the bridge. They thought it was another vehicle, but as it drew closer, the lights simply faded into nothing, leaving only darkness. The shaken crew refused to continue until a priest was called to bless the sight the next morning. The 7-mile bridge may be a symbol of Florida's cinematic beauty, but behind the glamour of Hollywood, it hides an atmosphere of dread. For every film shot there, stories of ghostly apparitions, vanishing lights, and eerie accidents continue to surface, cementing its place as one of the most haunted filming locations in the state. Number 3. Everglades National Park. The Everglades National Park in Florida is one of the most mysterious landscapes in America. Its endless swamps, thick mangroves, and fog-covered waters make it both breathtaking and unnerving. Hollywood has often used this eerie backdrop to shoot films, including The Return of the Swamp Thing 1989, Gone Fishing 1997, and parts of Miami Vice 2006. While the setting was perfect for action and adventure, the cast and crews often left the Everglades shaken by unexplainable encounters. During The Return of the Swamp Thing, actors reported that at night, the marshes seemed alive with whispering voices. One actress swore she heard a child crying in the distance, but when search parties went out with flashlights, the sound would move further and further away until it vanished into silence. Crew members said they felt watched, as though something moved just beneath the water, following them wherever they went. On the set of Gone Fishing, a director of photography nearly quit after an encounter that left him pale and trembling. While filming a night sequence on the swampy river, he looked through the lens and saw a figure crouched in the reeds. He thought it was an extra, but when he looked up with his naked eyes, nothing was there. When he peered back through the camera, the figure returned, only this time closer, with glowing eyes staring right at him. The Miami Vice crew also had their share of paranormal terrors. During filming, their boats would suddenly stop in the middle of the swamp as if something heavy was dragging them down. Actors Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx both admitted later that the Everglades felt wrong at night. Farrell said he woke up in his trailer to the sound of scratching along the walls, like claws raking the metal, even though the trailer was parked on dry land away from the water. Local lore says the Everglades are haunted by the spirits of the Calusa tribe and by the ghosts of settlers who vanished in the swamp. Many crew members told stories of shadowy figures wading through the water, only waist-high, before vanishing beneath the surface without a splash. Others claimed to see a phantom canoe gliding silently across the water, with no one paddling it. The scariest incident came during a late-night reshoot when a sound technician was dragged waist-deep into the swamp by something unseen. His co-workers rushed to pull him back, and when they finally did, his arms were covered in red scratches. He refused to stay another night. The Everglades might appear as a natural wonder on film, but for those who work behind the camera, it is a place where the line between the living and the dead blurs, making it one of Florida's most haunted filming locations. Number 4. Don CeSar Hotel. The Don CeSar Hotel, standing tall and pink on the shores of St. Pete Beach, is one of Florida's most iconic landmarks, but behind its grand beauty lurks a chilling haunted reputation. Nicknamed the Pink Palace, this luxury hotel has attracted Hollywood filmmakers for decades, its glamour making it the perfect backdrop for both romance and suspense. Films such as Once Upon a Time in America 1984, Forever Mine 1999, and Oceans of Love independent productions have been shot here. Yet, cast and crew often left with more than just memories of sun-soaked scenes. They carried terrifying stories of ghostly encounters inside the hotel's walls. During the shooting of Once Upon a Time in America, actors reported hearing piano music drifting through the empty ballrooms late at night. At first, they thought a musician was practicing, but when they searched, the grand piano was closed and covered. One actress swore she saw a man in a white suit standing beside it, staring at her before fading into the darkness. Locals believe this is the spirit of Thomas Rowe, the hotel's original owner, who still roams the corridors searching for his lost love, Lucinda. The production of Forever Mine was plagued by strange happenings. Lights in the hotel's lavish hallways would flicker and cut out whenever key romantic scenes were filmed. The lead actress revealed later that she felt an icy hand brush across her cheek during one take, forcing her to break character in sheer terror. Crew members claimed their equipment was constantly being drained of power, and several cameras mysteriously shut down at the same exact spot outside room 568, known by staff as one of the most haunted areas in the building. One of the most frightening incidents involved a director's assistant who stayed late in the editing suite inside the hotel. She later recounted hearing heavy footsteps behind her, only to turn and see no one. When she looked again, a tall shadow moved across the wall, even though there was no light source to cast it. Shaken, she refused to work alone in the building afterward. Hotel staff often warned visiting crews of ghostly apparitions. Guests and film workers alike claimed to see the figure of a woman in a flowing white dress wandering the gardens at night, sometimes vanishing into the sea mist before their eyes. Others heard whispers in their rooms, especially in the early hours before dawn, as though unseen voices were holding conversations. The CeSar Hotel may sparkle on film as a paradise of elegance, but for those who have filmed within its walls, it holds an atmosphere of restless spirits, tragic love, and lingering shadows. Its beauty makes it unforgettable, but its hauntings ensure it will never truly let go of those who enter. Number 5. Miami Marine Stadium. Miami Marine Stadium on Virginia Key was once a crown jewel of Miami's cultural scene, with its sweeping concrete structure overlooking Biscayne Bay. Built in the 1960s, it became famous for concerts, boat races, and later as a striking backdrop for Hollywood films. Abandoned for decades, its graffiti-covered walls and eerie silence gave it an unsettling beauty that filmmakers couldn't resist. Movies like All About the Benjamins 2002, Clambake 1967 starring Elvis Presley, and even parts of Bad Boys 2003 were filmed here. But behind the cinematic magic, the stadium carried a darker reputation, one filled with whispers of hauntings, strange shadows, and terrifying encounters that crews never forgot. During All About the Benjamins, several nighttime scenes were filmed within the crumbling structure. Crew members swore they heard footsteps echoing across the empty seats when no one was there. One actress reported hearing her name whispered directly into her ear while rehearsing, even though she stood completely alone in the stadium. After that night, she refused to stay on set past sundown. When Elvis Presley filmed Clambake here, locals claimed he was deeply unsettled by the stadium's atmosphere. Backup performers recalled that Elvis himself once paused mid-performance and stared into the stands, insisting he saw a man sitting there when the stadium had already been cleared of extras. He joked about it publicly, but privately told his band he felt a bad spirit in the place. The filming of Bad Boys 2 brought even more chilling experiences. Explosive stunts and action sequences were plagued by mishaps, lights flickering out, cameras cutting at crucial moments, and boats drifting off course without explanation. Will Smith reportedly laughed off the stories at first, but later admitted in interviews that the stadium gave him an unshakable feeling of being watched. A stunt coordinator told a terrifying story of seeing a figure running along the roofline during a late-night shoot. Thinking it was a trespasser, security rushed to the spot, only to find no one there. Local legends say the stadium is haunted by the spirits of drowning victims from nearby waters, and even by workers who died during its construction. Crew members often describe the sound of splashing water echoing through the concrete shell, even though the bay was perfectly calm. One cameraman swore he saw wet footprints leading across the stadium floor, though the crew hadn't been near the water. The most frightening incident came when a director's monitor suddenly went black mid-shoot. When it flickered back on, instead of the live footage, it showed what appeared to be a shadowy figure standing directly behind the lead actor. The scene was ruined, and though the actor was shaken, the figure never appeared in real life. For filmmakers, Miami Marine Stadium offers atmosphere and history, but for those who have worked there, it is a place where ghostly presences linger in the silence, turning a once glorious stage into one of Florida's most haunted film locations. Number 6. Ernest Hemingway Home. The Ernest Hemingway home in Key West is one of Florida's most iconic landmarks, a lush Spanish colonial estate filled with tropical gardens, antique furnishings, and the famous six-toed cats that roam the grounds. But beyond its beauty lies an unsettling atmosphere that has made it one of the most haunted film locations in Florida. The house, once belonging to literary giant Ernest Hemingway, has been used for documentaries, TV productions, and films like License to Kill 1989, Partial Shoots, the Hemingway Project indie productions, and several travel specials showcasing Key West's charm. Yet behind the cameras, the crew and actors often experience things that felt straight out of a ghost story. During one production about Hemingway's life, a cameraman swore he saw the man himself, broad-shouldered, in a white shirt, standing in the writing studio. At first, he thought it was an extra dressed for the scene, but the figure faded as he raised the camera to film. Others claimed to hear the scratch of a typewriter in the studio late at night, even though the old machine was locked in a glass case and hadn't been touched in decades. While shooting parts of License to Kill in Key West, some crew members visited the house to capture atmospheric footage. One actress recalled feeling an icy chill sweep over her in the humid Florida heat as she stood near Hemingway's old bed. She said it felt as though someone brushed past her, though no one was there. Another crew member claimed he heard a deep, gravelly voice whisper, "Get out of my house," though the room was completely empty. Stranger still were the incidents involving the cats. Crews repeatedly complained that the six-toed felines would suddenly stop, hiss, and stare into corners where no one stood. One sound technician told of a terrifying moment when every single cat on the property froze and turned their heads toward the same darkened hallway, refusing to move until the lights were turned on. Local lore says Hemingway himself haunts the home, restless and protective of his sanctuary. Others believe the spirits of his wives remain as well, and some crew members reported seeing a woman in a flowing dress pacing the upstairs balcony, only to vanish into the humid night air. The most frightening account came from a documentary team who filmed inside after hours. Their footage later showed a shadow moving across the dining room wall, broad-shouldered, with the outline of a man holding a drink, yet none of the crew were in that position at the time. When they replayed the audio, a low chuckle could be heard, followed by the sound of clinking glasses. The Ernest Hemingway home may appear on screen as a place of history and charm, but for those who filmed within its walls, it remains a house alive with restless spirits, ghostly whispers, and the lingering presence of its most famous resident. Number 7. Art Deco Hotels. The Art Deco hotels of Miami Beach, especially those lining South Beach's Ocean Drive, are among the most photographed landmarks in Florida. Their pastel facades, neon lights, and glamorous architecture have drawn filmmakers for decades. Iconic productions like Scarface 1983, The Birdcage 1996, Bad Boys 2003, and countless fashion shoots and music videos were filmed here. But behind the stylish beauty of these hotels is a darker, more chilling story. Many of these buildings date back to the 1930s and 1940s, and their long histories have left behind restless spirits. Actors and directors who came for the glitz often left speaking of ghostly encounters that terrified them. During the filming of Scarface, several night shoots inside a South Beach hotel were disrupted by unexplained phenomena. Crew members reported lights flickering wildly, even though electricians confirmed there were no faults. One actress admitted she woke up in her hotel room to the sound of footsteps pacing directly above her bed, yet she was on the top floor. When she called the front desk, they insisted the room above was locked and unoccupied. On the set of The Birdcage, starring Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, strange things happened repeatedly in the lobbies and dining areas of the hotels used for filming. A production assistant claimed to see a woman in a 1940s dress sitting quietly in a chair during a break. When he turned back a moment later, the chair was empty. Nathan Lane himself joked during interviews that South Beach had spirits that partied harder than the living. Bad Boys 2 brought bigger budgets and explosions to South Beach, but also a surge of strange events. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence were filming a chase sequence near one of the Art Deco hotels when crew radios picked up heavy breathing and whispers, even though the channels were closed and secure. A stuntman later reported feeling shoved down a staircase inside the hotel, though no one was behind him. Shaken, he refused to continue filming in that part of the building. Local legends say many of these hotels are haunted by victims of crimes from Miami's violent past, as well as by former guests who never checked out. Hotel staff have long whispered about phantom figures strolling the neon-lit hallways, elevators stopping on empty floors, and doors slamming shut without cause. The most terrifying incident came during a late-night shoot for a smaller indie film. A director was reviewing playback when, in the background of a scene, a pale figure could be seen standing in a hallway mirror, watching the actors. On set, that hallway had been blocked off and completely empty. The footage was so disturbing that the crew refused to film in that location again. What the world sees on screen is glitz, color, and life, but for those who film inside Miami Beach's Art Deco hotels, there is an undeniable presence of shadows from the past. The ghosts of South Beach still wander beneath the neon glow, reminding everyone that glamour often hides something far darker. Number 8. Fort East Martello Museum. Fort East Martello Museum in Key West is unlike any other filming location in Florida. Built during the Civil War as a coastal fortress, the old brick structure later became home to one of the most infamous paranormal objects in the world, Robert the Doll. The museum, with its dark hallways and eerie atmosphere, has been featured in documentaries, paranormal series, and films such as Scariest Places on Earth 2000, Haunted History 1998, and countless travel productions focused on the supernatural. But for the actors and crews who dared to film there, the terror was all too real. The presence of Robert the Doll is the heart of the haunting. Said to be cursed, Robert has been blamed for accidents, injuries, and sudden misfortune. During one production, a cameraman laughed off the museum's warnings and filmed Robert without asking permission. Minutes later, his expensive camera stopped working, its film mysteriously overexposed. When he tried again, the lens cracked on its own. Shaken, he apologized to the doll, and to everyone's astonishment, his backup camera worked perfectly afterward. Actresses working on ghost hunting shows often spoke of Robert's unsettling effect. One reported that while she asked questions to the doll, she heard a faint giggle in the empty room. Another claimed Robert's expression seemed to change when the director shouted "Action!", his stitched smile curling upward as if mocking the crew. Several times, lights flickered and microphones picked up static whenever Robert was filmed, though all the equipment worked fine elsewhere in the museum. The fortress itself carries its own ghosts. During filming for Haunted History, a sound technician wandered into a corridor and felt a sharp tug on his shirt. When he spun around, no one was near him, yet a child's footprint was found in the dust on the floor. In another chilling incident, an actress fainted in the middle of a scene after claiming she saw a soldier in uniform walk straight through a locked doorway. Directors have also been shaken. One documentary filmmaker admitted that after a night shoot, his team reviewed footage only to find whispered voices on the audio track. One phrase repeated clearly, "Don't film him." The crew was so disturbed that they left Key West before completing the project. The most terrifying story comes from a late-night shoot when an actor jokingly insulted Robert. Hours later, on his drive back to the hotel, his car swerved violently off the road for no apparent reason. He escaped unharmed, but returned to the museum the next day to beg the doll's forgiveness. Fort East Martello Museum may appear on screen as a historic landmark, but to those who have filmed there, it is a place of curses, shadows, and the chilling gaze of Robert the Doll. For many, it remains one of Florida's most unforgettable and most haunted film locations.